Thank you so much for joining me this week for this edition of Lit Tea Talk. I am super excited because we're going to be doing a tea tasting this week in addition to our regular chat. We're here with Elise Hanks, founder of Terra, which was born in spring of 2015 as a passion project for Elise. She was struggling with sensitive skin and the stress of city life, and she began to experiment with herbal remedies for personal use, and then she developed this awesome company. So I'm really looking forward to sitting down and talking with her today, and also getting the opportunity to test out some of these teas. Thank you so much for joining us, Elise.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a nice excuse to drink some tea on a cold day.
So I know I mentioned in the intro a little bit about how you developed or you started Terra, but can you tell us a little bit more about how you started it and more about that?
Yeah, it was sort of a long and convoluted journey, as many life journeys are. I was going to college for fashion design, and I knew that I loved design, but I sort of realized pretty early on that industry wasn't really going to be a good fit for me. And I was lucky enough to have a friend who was sort of feeling the same way, and she presented this idea of joining the WWOOFing program, which is a volunteer farming program. It stands for Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms. And essentially farms have volunteers come, and you don't need any experience. You can come and sort of get to know this whole industry of farming and kind of dipping your toes into that. And we both totally fell in love with it. And when I moved back to Philadelphia, I was sort of at a loss for how to reconnect that way, to sort of get back in the soil. And I actually ended up getting a job on a flower farm. And I loved the idea of sort of being able to combine design along with farming. So I learned some floral design. And during that time, I also stumbled on this herbalism class. And as soon as I took the first class, I was hooked. It was just another way that I could sort of connect to plants while still living in the city. And so I started making herbal vinegars for myself. I had always dealt with really sensitive, acne-prone skin, and I started to understand this concept of dealing with something that's presenting itself on the outside of your body by basically drinking teas and taking tinctures. And I was making those products for myself and my friends, and basically decided to sell some things at a local market. And someone who owned a little shop in Philadelphia saw my products and offered to sell them in their store. And I just thought, wow, okay, that seems like a neat idea. So from there, I started developing new products, and people started to really love them, and it kind of just grew from there. And I had a full-time job for a long time during that development. And at the end of 2018, I quit my job, and now I do this full-time.
Tell us a little bit more about your projects that you sell, products that you sell, and how you develop them.
Yeah, so initially I started with sort of focusing on like teas and also on skincare, because those are two things that I personally really needed and loved. And it sort of has expanded from there. Now I've taken it to a place where I'm also talking about sort of sustainability in the home and just kind of overall wellness in general. So I kind of focus on teas, skincare, and home goods and ritual goods. And now I've also expanded to offering other people's products as well. I really understand that I can't personally make every product that I want to get to people. And there's so many wonderful herbalists and makers, especially in Philadelphia, that I want to support.
Are there any of your products that you would recommend for like where we are in this phase of quarantine, where it's like a different level of burnout than it was, 6 or 8 months ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that two of the teas that I find myself really drawn to right now would be Ease, which I sort of call the mental wellness support tea. That tea it's got ingredients that are not only nutritious to your body, your physical body, but it also has herbs that are actually helpful for helping your body deal with stress. There's Tulsi, which is a really wonderful adaptogenic herb, or an herb that helps your body deal with consistent stress. It's also got oat straw and nettle, which are just really like nutritious powerhouses for your body. So that's sort of hitting on the mental wellness as well as the physical wellness. And then there's another tea blend that we're going to be tasting called Flow, which is a lymphatic and detoxification tea. And the reason I say that is your lymph is a system that we don't often really think about. It's sort of this really important system that no one really understands, or most people don't really even know is there. It basically helps, it's a liquid or a fluid right below your skin that helps your body kind of get rid of toxins. And it's really important for your immune system and your circulatory system and your skin. And all of those things I think are getting, at least I'm feeling like they're getting affected by quarantine, being home a lot, sitting a lot, not doing as much physical movement. So both those teas I've found have been really helpful for me. And also I make incense cones. And I think being at home and needing to refresh your space a little bit, that's a really nice way to do it. They don't contain any chemicals or anything like that. So you're just getting like pure plant material that's making a really beautiful scent. So I would say those three things are really helpful for quarantine.
Oh, I love incense. That's awesome. I'm really sensitive to smells, but incense are the one thing that like doesn't, throw my senses to a tizzy. So I definitely want to check those out. I would love to hear more about Terra Luna Garden, and I know you spoke briefly about your commitment to sustainability, but if there's anything else that you'd like to share about that.
I was able to join a community garden that had been really sort of underused. And I've now I feel really committed to bringing more people into that space. And it's been a really wonderful place for me to not only grow a lot of the herbs I use in my teas and my skincare, but also a place where people can come and volunteer and help me maintain the space. I host workshops there. It's really important to me to get people to understand that herbalism is really accessible. This idea that sustainability is more than just, using a tote bag instead of a plastic bag. There's so much more to it than that.
The idea that like sustainability is an onion, right? And you're constantly peeling away these different layers. So that just seems like a really accessible way to be sustainable, that like you said is more than the tote bag or bringing around your reusable coffee or tea cup. What has surprised you most in your journey in building up Terra Luna?
It's hard for me to ask for help sometimes, and I've realized that that's pretty silly because so many people do want to help, and the more you ask, the more you'll receive. And the collaboration that I've had with other makers or with people who come to the volunteer days has really surprised me in a really positive way. And it's kind of given me a better view of humans in general, I think, and especially with the business as well. People just want to give knowledge and share knowledge, and it's been really powerful.
On to tea.
Yes,
to kick us off, do you want to talk about, so I got your sampler pack, which is 6 different teas. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
3 of the teas that we are not tasting today would be Relief. So Relief is a hibiscus, violet, clove, and peppermint. I call it Relief because the violet, for instance, is really helpful for, so like a blood cleanser, sort of a detoxification herb. The hibiscus is really nice for high blood pressure, just kind of relieving that. Clove is a really beautiful herb to kind of warm up the gut, get that moving. And then peppermint is helpful for any kind of digestive upset, and it's just really refreshing. So that's a really fun tea. You can drink it hot or iced. I love it as an iced tea. You can put it in a little cocktail. And then as a hot tea in the wintertime, it's really great in a hot toddy if you're into those. So that's a little tip. So that's really fun. There's also Clean, which is just peppermint and nettle. So that's oftentimes a tea that I offer to people who say they don't really like tea or they don't know much about tea. It's a really simple blend. The nettle is really high in nutrients, and that peppermint, just everyone seems to enjoy a nice refreshing cup of peppermint tea. So that's a nice simple little blend. What am I missing? Oh, Ease. which I mentioned before, sort of a mental wellness blend. So that's definitely something that people can drink consistently. It's very gentle on your system, but it is really helpful for people who feel a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, specifically like physical anxiety. If you get that, tenseness in your shoulders, or if you get headaches from anxiety, things like that, that blend is really helpful for both those things.
So the first tea that we are going to try today is Balance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Balance. You want to tell us about this tea?
So this blend is calendula flowers, which are really gentle on your gut. They're really helpful to sort of heal the gut from any issues. It's got fennel, which is really sort of warming, helps move the gut. What else am I missing? Fennel and nettle are both really beautiful for sort of, nettle again is really nutritive. I'm thinking about the whole idea of digestive problems are not just one thing. There's many ways that digestive problems sort of show up. So these herbs are kind of hitting on a lot of those different issues. And the last herb is Tulsi, which is sort of a mental wellness tea. It's, you think about it in terms of stress or anxiety, and digestive issues can cause stress and anxiety, or vice versa. So I like to try to throw in some herbs that are outside of that main issue as well, that all kind of work together. So you'll probably taste the fennel, I'm imagining, and definitely the calendula as well. Those are two sort of the most powerful tastes, I think, in that blend. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts. Yeah. I'll drink some too.
Oh my gosh, it smells amazing. Oh, that's got a really interesting taste to it. Like there's a taste at the beginning and then kind of like a taste towards the end.
For me, I definitely taste the calendula first, which is, it's hard to explain. It's a little bit nutty or a little bit buttery sort of tasting. And then the fennel, I think, kind of rounds it out.
I could see drinking this like at the end of a, as you said, like stressful day, and it would make you feel better.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel that. Next is Skin Serene. Can you tell us about that one?
The herbs in this blend are specific to sort of helping your body get rid of toxins, supporting your gut. The sort of main hero herbs of this are the burdock root and the dandelion. Those are really specific herbs for the skin. This is one of the first teas that I made kind of selfishly for myself, and then people seem to really enjoy it. And I like to tell people, you'll see on the back of the tea that I recommend that you do some boiling of this tea first before you do sort of the normal steep. It's totally fine if you don't have time to do that, but if you're really, really struggling with skin issues and you really want to get as much medicine as you can out of this blend, doing some boiling of the material first is really important. Any kind of roots in your teas oftentimes needs a little extra help kind of pulling their medicine out. So boiling them just gives a little bit of an opportunity to do that. But I try to give as much information as I can on the actual tea packet. So you'll see that there is a little explanation of that on there as well.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Steep time and all of that is on here. I think the burdock root makes it like smell nice and like rich and musky.
Definitely.
All right, let's try this one.
Yeah, I definitely get a sweetness from the burdock root, whereas the dandelion root's a little more bitter, but the burdock really kind of brings it all together.
Ooh, it's very, like I said, rich. My nose told me first that's what it was gonna be.
And this one also, again, has the nettle in it, which is, really high in nutrients, vitamin A, vitamin C. I try again to sort of make it a well-rounded blend.
Yeah, you can definitely taste that. I think that they're all working together, nothing working against the other. And last but certainly not least is your newest tea, I think you said, Flow.
Flow, I was really inspired to make this blend specifically because I was dealing with a lot of kind of painful breakouts on my neck and my chin. And after doing a lot of research, I realized that a lot of that's often caused by lymphatic sluggishness. So that's what this whole blend is inspired by that. It's got cleavers and violet, which are really helpful for getting your lymph moving. It's got that calendula again, is also a helpful herb for that part of the body. Again, it has that stinging nettle, and then it also has red clover, which is really well known for lymphatic system support. So all of those work together and sort of help get that system moving. I've definitely noticed a big difference. And then it also tastes really delicious, I think. It's really earthy, which I love. So you can let me know what you think.
Yeah, I can definitely, I agree with the earthiness. Okay, let's try this. Ooh. I think this one's my favorite.
I love it too. It's really, really gentle and sort of grounding feeling. Tea can sometimes be a gentle and slower acting medicine than we're maybe used to. So being able to sort of take that into your everyday schedule is really important.
That was actually a question I had for, like, say, flow, for that detoxification support. Is there a frequency that you recommend for in order to start to feel the effects of it?
You know, if you're really wanting to start detoxifying your body in a really gentle way, you could be drinking this, 2 times a day, 3 times a day for a couple weeks and see sort of how your body starts to feel. I try to kind of go back and forth between my teas so that I don't, again, like get either bored of them or my body gets kind of used to them, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I would say drinking like an 8-ounce cup of flow 2 or 3 times a day to start, and then you can see how that makes you feel. If you want to bring that down or bring that up, that's up to you. But I try to really use herbs that are really safe and gentle. And for something like flow or something like Skin Serene, where you are trying to sort of see a difference physically, you can, feel out what works for you, basically.
Well, thank you so much, Elise, for joining us today. And I loved hearing about what you're doing with Terra Luna and trying your teas. I'll definitely be deciding what my favorites are and getting more options there. And when we can travel again, since Philadelphia is so close, I'll definitely stop by.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we'll have volunteer days at the garden all summer and fall. So you can stop by there.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much.